Welcome to The Roofer Show with your host, Dave Sullivan. You found the podcast that helps roofing contractors grow their businesses, make more money, and have more free time.
Niching down and be like, hey, this is what we specialize in. And that enables you to charge a premium because God forbid I have an issue with my heart, right? I'm not going to go to a general practitioner. I'm going to go to a heart surgeon. So you want to be the heart surgeon for your market, and people are going to go to you and they're going to pay a premium because you're the expert at that thing.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Roofer Show podcast, the place to be if you want to grow a more profitable roofing company. I am your host, Dave Sullivan, the roofer coach, and today we have got a great show. I have got Joe Hughes back from Contractor Dynamics. And Joe, we had you on a couple of times back in January of 2022, how to get more leads in 2022, and March of 2023, how to take control of your marketing. So I imagine a few things have changed, but before we get into that, what's going on, man? How are you?
Wow, thank you. So this would be a hat trick on the Roofer Show. Honored to be here. Yeah, a couple of years in today's busy, fast-paced world. It seems like forever. So thanks so much for having me back.
That's great to see you. I'm sure a few things have changed since then, and I got a lot of questions to ask because that's usually the number one question I get. Hey, how do I get more leads? What do I do with my marketing? And everything comes down to, if I only had some more leads, life would be wonderful. A little more to it than that. But so tell us what's been going on. Tell us what you've been up to, and tell us about Contractor Dynamics and what we're going to talk about today.
So I'll start with the last bit. Contractor Dynamics, we're a marketing, training, and solutions company, started in 2013, and we focus exclusively on the roofing industry. Over 100 clients right now, all roofing companies, all shapes and sizes, all over North America, retail, storm restoration, residential, commercial, everything in between. And our purpose, our core focus rather, is to equip people and companies with the tools to transform and grow. So most of what we do is we actually train roofing companies on how to do their own marketing, how to bring their marketing in-house. We also do support them with some additional done-for-you services, brand building, meta ads, and building websites and things like that. But we're all about really teaching our clients how to fish instead of selling them the fish. And that's what we've seen works really well these days in this noisy world where a lot has changed in terms of the world we live in, how noisy it's gotten. We've got AI content now. We're all inundated with thousands of marketing messages every day. It's harder to stand out. It's harder to get our market's attention. There's a lot of private equity money coming into roofing, which means that helps to drive up ad costs and things like that. So there's a bunch of different factors that go into making marketing way more difficult than it was, say, 5 years ago. When, just to stay on the fish analogy, like fish were jumping into the boat, right? It was pretty easy back in the pandemic days. And it's gotten back to normal-ish now, maybe a little bit below normal. And yeah, lots of companies are like, what's worked in the past isn't working anymore, or what's worked in the past, or what I was spending money on in the past, I knew it wasn't working, but it didn't really matter that much because I was still making a bunch of money. And if I wasted money, it wasn't a huge deal. Well, now that maybe business is down, now we're sharpening the pencil and looking at that P&L, like, oh man, we're spending what on marketing and what's it really bringing us? So a little bit more scrutiny there, and people are realizing like, man, I got to get this together. So there's a ton of questions out there. We aim to supply a lot of good education to our market, because really it starts with education, right? You've got to understand at least a little bit about any area of your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's the finances, whether it's legal. Like, you've got to understand the basics to either do it yourself or hire it out. And when you hire it out, you know what you're buying. You know how to hold that company or that person accountable. So that's a little bit of a rant, but just try to sum up the last couple of years in terms of marketing. And I'm excited to dive into that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It hasn't been rocket science to run a profitable roofing business. And I'm seeing a lot of the contractors that I work with, they're just stuck in the mud when things have changed. And you just had to sit there and wait for the referrals to come in and so forth. And now it's okay. If we're going to grow, we got to get a little better plan and a little more sophistication with our marketing. How has it changed? What are the problems that you're seeing now with contractors and why they're not being successful? They come to you. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I would say most of the industry has just had a history of not wanting to really learn marketing, which is okay, right? You're a roofing company owner. Maybe you come from sales, maybe you come from install, maybe you come from outside the industry, but you're probably not a marketing expert. And that word expert it's thrown around, but not wanting to do marketing, which I totally understand. And then what we call is just like blindly outsourcing it, right? Hey, I'm going to hire this marketing agency I'm going to spend a few grand a month and they said they're going to be able to generate me leads, or I'm going to buy leads from Angie or Home Advisor, any number of those companies. And that's going to be enough to fill my pipeline. That did work back in the day, even like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe even. Nowadays, there's been shifts. Again, there's AI, there's a lot of noise in our world. There is consumer or human skepticism, right? So we're more skeptical than we were before. The idea that we want to take control of that buying process a little bit more. We want to do our own research before we reach out to an organization, before we reach out to a sales rep. So just look at your own behavior, right? Are you out there just looking at roofers near me or whatever service you might need as a homeowner, HVAC, air conditioning contractors? Are you going to Google air conditioning contractors or service providers near me and then just setting appointments with the top 3 that pop up? Probably not, right? You're probably doing your research. You're probably checking out websites, social media, reviews, Yelp, EVB, whatever it might be, depending on your region of the country. Some of these things are regional, and you want to do much more of that research on your own before you reach out to a company. A lot of the stats you see out there, it's that homeowners or consumers are doing 70 to 80% of their research, 70 to 80% of their buying decision is made before they ever reach out to a company. So we've got to be out there answering questions, providing content, building trust, showing people who we are. That's a huge shift these days. And most roofing companies just haven't adapted. This year, we've seen, because we talk with hundreds of roofing companies every year, whether it's our client base and our sales conversations at events, our webinars that we hold, I think roofing companies earnestly do want to figure it out. And I think a lot more of them this year are realizing that, okay, this does make sense. This idea of like, why should I expect to just pay some random marketing company to produce customers for me? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I need to be able to build my brand and create my content and get my name out there online and offline. Some of those basics that you and I are talking about, Dave. So that's a big one. Again, I call it like blindly outsourcing your marketing, just like trying to buy your way out of your marketing problem. And that just doesn't work anymore. Just like any system in your business, sales, operations, production, you've got to build that system in your business if you want to see success with that year over year. This buying leads and this hiring a random marketing agency, it's just like a Hail Mary. And I would just challenge the listener or the viewer to think about that. Think about what types of leads those actually are, right? Those are people, those are homeowners, hopefully, that are inputting their information into some lead gen form somewhere. They don't know who you are. They don't know why you're different. They don't know that they should be paying you a little bit of a premium because you are a top of the line service provider. They have no idea, right? So there's this huge disconnect. Like you want the people that know can trust you, but then you're buying these leads from people that have no idea who you are. And then there's this like huge gap there. And you can try to fill that with your sales process, but you have to do a lot of work to take leads from cold to sold in a very short period of time. And that's why you're getting beat up on price. And that's why people are just going with the cheap guy in town because they don't see you as any different. I'll cut myself off there, but that's the main thing I see, Dave, just people not taking ownership of solving this problem and wanting others to solve it for them. And in no area of business does that really work. So don't expect it to work in marketing.
You're right. And this is what I see. What I do in my business is really basics. I talk about the 3-legged stool. You've got to sell work, you've got to do work, and you've got to keep score. And those 3 legs all have to be strong and balanced. And something's always off. And why the company's just not running. Generally, it's the numbers because they hate the numbers. They don't understand them and they just want to have somebody handle it for them. And they don't understand. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to understand them. And that's what's going to drive your business forward. And it's going to keep you from getting embezzled too, which I see all the time. because you've got to become educated in sales and marketing, because otherwise you're just going to spend money. And that's what people do. They throw dollars at it and they can't understand why they're not getting results. Don't know what they're doing when it comes to SEO and so forth. They get these reports, they don't know how to read them, just like financial statements. You just can't do that. You've got to understand all three of those legs. And that's what I love about what you're doing, is the education. Whether you do it in-house or you get somebody to do it for you, you've got to understand what it is that you're looking for and be able to track this stuff and get behind it. And it's just too much spray and pray. It doesn't work that way.
We call it being the general contractor of your marketing, just another way of putting it. So being the general contractor of your marketing, think about it this way, right? You own a roofing company and say you have a multi-trade project coming up, and maybe there's siding involved, maybe there's some solar, detach and reset, maybe there's like HVAC because there's units on the roof if it's like a commercial roof, right? So you have multiple trades and you're GCing the whole thing, right? What if you told all of your subs to show up on Friday at this address, show up at Dave Sullivan's house? Hey, we got this big project, this great customer, Dave Sullivan, nice guy. Hey guys, just show up Friday and do the work, right? And you didn't give them a plan, a blueprint. There's no meetings, there's no communication. They're not talking to each other. They don't even know each other. That's what happens a lot of time with marketing, right? You're the roofing company owner. You hire the website guy, then you hire the video guy, then you're doing some direct mail, then you're doing some Facebook, then you got a Google thing over here, a bunch of random subcontractors, and no one's really, there's no one creating a plan. There's no budget, there's no meetings, there's no accountability, there's no data, there's no numbers. And you can see why it's a mess, right? Just as if you were to build a building or do that multi-trade project and not coordinate all those subs, it's going to be chaos. And that's what happens in marketing. So again, you don't need to do all the marketing yourself all the time. As a GC, you're probably going to self-perform some of that and then sub some of that out, but you have control over the whole system. Does that make sense, Dave?
Total sense. Let's talk about your program, which is, if I want to go there, I want to get educated. I want to find out what's going on, what works, what doesn't. How do we get started, and what are the basics? Maybe you can walk us through how you would set up a marketing program and how to learn how to do this before we get into the details about what's working, what's not. Give me an overview. I assume we get some kind of marketing budget. We got to get our KPIs together. What are we going to track first? Get that all set up. But you tell me, how do you get started? Because I've got guys that their marketing is just not, it's totally not working. And they're spending a lot of money, but they're doing their own Facebook ads, for instance. They're throwing money here, money there, and they can't understand why they keep getting burned by all these guys. What should they do?
Everyone needs a plan. Like when you're trying to figure something out, maybe it's like the financial aspect of your business, right? It's a mess. You don't know what's going on. You finally talk to your bookkeeper, or if you have a fractional CFO or someone like that who can give you a game plan, right? You feel good. You feel a lot better just knowing that you have a plan and it's okay, let's go execute that plan. So that's the first thing we do with our clients. Our marketing training program is a year commitment. And that's because marketing takes time. And I know that I'm not the best marketer out there, because every marketer is going to tell you, hey, you can sign up today and by next week we'll be flooding your inbox with leads.
Turn the faucet on.
It doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you guys, marketing is hard. It takes consistent effort. It takes time. It takes work. It's not something that you're used to doing, right? And so that's not the best sales pitch in the world, but it's truth. And that's what you need to hear. Otherwise, you're going to continue chasing these overnight success promises and all this stuff to try to, again, buy your way out of your marketing problem. I'll just ask you, like, how has that worked out for you so far? Our marketing training program is a year long. The first thing we do is a gap analysis. Where are you at now? Where do you want to be in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever that is? And then how are we going to close that gap from where we are now to where we want to be with marketing? Now, marketing obviously doesn't solve every problem in the business, but it is a big system. So we're going to create that 1 year marketing plan. We're going to chunk that down into 90 days at a time. Your quarterly world, we follow EOS. So we kind of live in that quarterly world, mapping out some initiatives for the next 90 days, and then so forth. We are going to help you set up your scorecard. Again, we follow EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. So A lot of this is derived from that terminology, that practice. We're going to help you set up your marketing scorecard with KPIs you should be tracking. We're going to encourage you, even if it's yourself or maybe, someone on your team, to have that weekly marketing meeting. That weekly meeting pulse is going to be huge, just like you should have a weekly sales meeting, right? You're reviewing what you've been doing, reviewing the data, mapping out what you're going to be doing next, and then continually moving forward. Probably one of the biggest words in marketing, the most important words of marketing, is accountability. Doing the basic things consistently, holding yourself and your team accountable to doing them. So we're going to help you set up that weekly marketing meeting. And then we provide, depending on what level you get involved with us, it could be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly marketing one-on-one meetings to help you keep moving everything along, answering any questions, unlocking any bottlenecks, making sure that you're clear on your numbers, you're doing the activities you need to do. So we're meeting with you on a one-on-one basis, depending on the cadence in which you get involved with us. And then every week we have group calls. We have a whole online marketing university. So if you do have someone in your company currently that does focus on marketing, that might be an in-house marketing director, it might be a spouse, it might be a son or daughter of yours, they can go through our whole online marketing university with 150 plus videos, everything from SEO to video creation to LinkedIn to referral relationship building, review generation, all the things you need for marketing, so that you're not trying to YouTube your way through it. You're not trying to guess your way through it. You're following a plan and a blueprint.
I just want to touch base on particularly what you said started off. It's not a good sales pitch, which is it's going to be a year commitment. Just that idea, I think, is just got to be tough. Guys want immediate leads, and they don't understand that it does take time, and they're doing it for a couple of months. I'm just not seeing, I expected to have all these leads flowing in and so forth. I got to think that's a real problem, because trying to explain to people that it does take time and it takes that commitment. It's going to take some time and it's really hard work. But I agree, we have to understand our destination. Where are we trying to go? And then we can come back, build a roadmap to get us there. And I think that's what you're saying. But yeah, it's just that initial idea that it's not easy and it takes time. And particularly these days, I agree with you, particularly private equity, there's just so much money that they got just throwing cash at this, where everything's becoming so expensive. So you really got to have this dialed in. I think the other problem that I see, you had mentioned the KPIs and how we're going to track these things, what's working, what's not. I have a hard time getting that across, that we've got to measure, we got to look at those numbers and have a strategy of what's working, what's not, and to be able to track that and make adjustments as things go on. Is that a big problem that you see?
Oh yeah, totally. And there's a lot of, again, myopic focus, right? It's okay, what's my cost per lead, right? What's my cost per appointment? Those are the most obvious KPIs. And yes, you should track those. However, we don't just want to be like going out there and hunting for leads, right? And some people resonate with this. We want to be farming our market, right? Because like only about, give or take, 3% of people in any given market are going to be in need of your services like right now, like in the next 30 days, right? In a softer economy, that might be even less. That might be 2%. So we can try to hunt those leads down today. Maybe don't ignore those people, but the opportunity is to get in front of everyone in your market so that when they need your services, you're that top of mind company. My goal for my marketing, if I had a roofing company called Dynamic Roofing, which I don't, would be for people to be Googling dynamic roofing when they're ready, because they know us, they've seen us around town, they've seen our content and everything like that. Googling dynamic roofing as opposed to roofer near me, which I'm just like trying to throw myself into that sea of options. So KPIs, yeah, the cost per lead, cost per appointment. However, when you're becoming that obvious choice in your local market, you're going to want to look at your cost per customer acquisition. So it's going to be all of your marketing spend, whether it's billboard, radio, all of that stuff lumped into one. And then looking at your number of contracts and backing it in from there. But marketing can also affect things like your lead to appointment set rate. They can affect your closing rate. They can affect your profit margin per job. They can affect the number of referrals that you get from every job, number of reviews you're getting. So all of those things are things that we should be tracking. Because if you're buying leads, like one of our new clients that we brought on recently in Atlanta, they're buying lots of leads and are doing pretty well. They're doing about $5 million a year. but they're only setting like 27% of their leads into appointments because they're just buying leads off these platforms, these aggregators, because people don't know them, right? But if you're getting leads from people that are Googling your company, you should be setting way more of those leads into appointments. So that's a metric that marketing affects that might not be like direct money related, but that certainly trickles down into money, into revenue and
The
profit.
first thing is you got to answer the phone.
Well, that company,
The bar is so low. It's just amazing. And the idea of speed to lead, of getting back to these people quickly,
that's huge.
huge. And just to get that, as you say, get that lead, get the appointment. That's the first sale we've got to make, is get the appointment.
That's something we've seen in the past, not even 6 months. The importance of the speed to lead, again, because we're so busy these days as people, even waiting a half an hour, that might mean I'm on 5 minutes, I'm on to my next thing. That immediate speed to lead, that automated email and text that goes out to that homeowner, even if it's at 11 o'clock at night, you're not answering the phone, you're not calling them, having that automation go out to them is imperative. A lot of our clients are now using AI outside of office hours, AI answering and appointment setting, because people want to check that off to their list. Okay. My wife told me I need to get an appointment to get the roof looked at. I don't want to check it off my list until I actually have that appointment. If I'm just reaching out to a bunch of roofers, then I haven't checked it off my list, and it's going to be just this like game of cat and mouse trying to get in touch with me as a homeowner. So that concept of self-service might be a little bit more advanced, but people want to be able to schedule their own appointment on your website. That's not huge right now, but that's where things are going for sure.
I think you have to have that right now. That's a lot more important than having the form fill on your homepage. Set it up where it's easy for them to set the appointment, get that appointment set, and then you've got your automations that follow up on that and so forth. It's a lot different now, man. You got to have that.
Everyone's probably heard that leaky bucket, right? Everyone wants more leads to put in that bucket, but then there's holes in the bucket. The leads are falling out. So before maybe even you go out and try to generate more leads, make sure you have these sorts of things taken care of. Your website, the ability for someone to schedule an appointment, automations, so that when you do go out and get more leads and you do marketing to generate more, your bucket is nice and tight, watertight. You're not going to let those people slip through the cracks.
If you don't have that, you've got to have that set up before you start with a program. You've got to have your base. You've got to be able to take the intake. How are you going to get back to these people quickly? How do you get that appointment booked? How do you keep in touch with them? And you got to do more with less now, because leads are becoming more expensive, harder to get. So that means every lead that we have, as opposed to, what do we call it, to drunk on leads or whatever we had here a while back, you had so many damn leads, you just don't even need to get back to them. Those days are gone. So now you've got a lead that has some real value and a really high cost to do that. So you better do everything that you can to close that deal, and not only close that deal, but get one, every time you do a job in a neighborhood, get another job from your referrals and all the radius marketing and the neighborhood marketing that you should be doing.
Even with us, we're a service company too. We're not, just because we're a marketing company doesn't mean that we always have an abundance of leads. I wish that was the case, but yeah, these days we are treating every lead like it's on a little gold pillow and we're carrying it around. That's different from maybe 3 years ago. Like, we are being very thorough this year for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Amazon, it used to be, you get it in a couple of days. Then it became, we're getting it the next day. Now you can get it in 4 hours. I can get it this afternoon. And that's the way people are thinking now. And they want to have somebody get back to them. Always fight with them about one of our sponsors of the show is Ruby Receptionists. And the big thing is just, you got to answer that phone, have somebody there, and get that appointment booked, get it all done. And these guys that have an answering service or answering machine, the voicemail, people aren't going to leave a message because they know you're not going to call them back, and they're probably right. And they want something now. They want to talk to somebody. They have questions. They want answers, and they want them quickly. And if you're not there, man, they just go to the next contractor. And we talk about AI agents and so forth. It's going to take over this whole deal as far as setting appointments and so forth. I don't think it's there yet, because it bugs me. I get a little peeved at a lot of this stuff, but it's getting there, and it's not going to be long once everybody starts getting used to this. Also, that's how it's going to be. And you better get with the program.
Yeah. And I thought about this When AI first came out, the human, totally get it. We are leaning way more into the human connection as a company in the age of AI. However, when you think about like an AI agent that is going to be able to set the appointment, right? Say a homeowner pings your website or calls maybe your number after hours. Does that homeowner really care if it's an AI agent that's setting that appointment? I don't think so. I think nowadays, like we're moving toward the homeowner or the property owner, whatever the person would rather just get their problem solved. They don't care if
Exactly.
it's a human or not. Like they just want to get their problem solved. So I think that's kind of a paradigm shift that a lot of people have to go through is all they want to talk to a person. Getting their appointment set immediately by an AI is better than waiting 3 days and going back and forth and playing phone tag to try to schedule an appointment. Yeah, I mean, just think about that.
Mhm. Okay, so here we are starting off now. I've always looked at it. I find that contractors don't spend any money on it. They're not going to grow their business. Now, you've got to do the basic stuff, the free stuff,
Yep.
the low-hanging fruit, easy enough. But now we're going to grow our business, we're going to have to spend money. And I don't see these guys spending any money. But as the rule of thumb, 5% of sales for your marketing, is any truth to that? Or how do we figure out what this is going to cost us, what we should be investing in marketing? How do we think that through? Because I would assume we got to start there. One of our first starting points is what are we going to commit to? What's the investment? And then if we can get into how do we break that up? What's working now and what do you see now and in the future? Splitting that money up into various channels.
Sure, man, that's a lot to unpack there. But I will say again, like things to think about. Some of our clients are spending under 5% on marketing. Now, most marketing, if you Google how much of my revenue should I spend on marketing, right? You're going to see usually like 5% is kind of status quo, maintenance mode. If you want to really grow, it's going to be 8, 9, 10, maybe even more than that if you want to get into aggressive growth. What we see is a lot of contractors that rely on paying agencies and buying leads. They're way overspending on marketing, like over 10%. And they don't know, besides spending money on something that's not really working that well to begin with, I don't really know what to do. Like, even if I have the money, like it's not working. So why would I spend more on it? The answer really is not spending more money, it's spending more time, which again, it's a little bit harder sometimes than spending more money, but that's what we've got to do. It's not only spending time to get on video and do marketing and run ads and things like that, but spending time to do just what we talked about, Dave, build out those automations in your sales process. Make sure that everything's buttoned up. Maybe get that live chat widget on your website. Maybe bring your website up to 2025, 2026 standards so that it actually builds trust. Hire that local photographer to come out and do a half day photo shoot of you and your team, your trucks, your job sites. Hire that local videographer to come out and shoot some client testimonial videos and shoot some about videos that you can put on your website to build trust. I mentioned skepticism before. We live in a skeptical world, right? So anything that we can do to show ourselves, show our team, show our clients, show our community involvement, photos and video, that's going to be huge. That's going to enable us to spend less money because we're building more trust. So I would say for most people out there, like 5% is a good number. You want to get clear on what your goals are. You want to create that content. A lot of that's going to be video content right here on the smartphone. You don't need to hire a videographer. Everyone's got this marketing machine in their pocket that's going to be creating a lot of video content. And then, of course, you want to distribute that content, which is where the dollars come in, right? So you can't just create some great videos and put them out there and it's not if you build it, they will come, because they won't come because they're busy, right? So then we have to distribute our content out in front of people. That's going to be, it could be on Meta ads on Facebook and Instagram with your video content. It could be on Google. It could be yard signs and vehicle wraps and getting involved in the community and sponsoring baseball teams and soccer teams and things like that. So there's a variety of ways to distribute your brand out in front of your market. But those first couple of steps, getting clarity on who you're marketing to, and then creating that content to build that trust, those things are pretty much free. And then that distribution channel is going to be, that's where your dollars are going to come in. But too many people are focusing on blasting their company out there or trying to generate leads when they haven't really they're hiding behind logos and AI content and stock photos and things like that. That's where you overspend on marketing. So then to get into what channels, it's going to vary for different companies based on your size, where you want to go, how fast you want to get there, the financial resources that you have, your risk tolerance, how much money you want to take home personally, right? That's a factor, right? Are you okay? Do you have income coming from other sources where you can just plow every dollar of profit back into your company? That's going to be a little bit different than the guy that needs to make $250,000 for his family. But a lot of our clients have shifted money away from traditional Google ads over the past couple of years. Traditional Google ad prices have gone up 15 to 25%. So they're moving them into Google local service ads, Google LSA, also known as Google Guaranteed. They're also moving dollars into Meta, which is, again, your video content. Our clients will spend on average maybe $100 a day on their Meta ads or brand awareness and lead gen ads to get that content out in front of their market. Brand awareness is cheaper. That might be about $20, $25 a day. You're talking under $1,000 a month to distribute that video content. And I keep harping on this video. That's huge. That's a big trust builder these days. And you're reaching for $20 a day, you're reaching tens of thousands of people literally in your local market every week. Those are not tens of thousands of leads, but those are tens of thousands of people who are spending hours every single day on their phone. They're seeing your content, they're seeing your company, they're seeing your colors. Sure, they're not watching every single video, but they're seeing that brand impression over and over and over again, and you're staying top of mind. But think about any channel where you get your unique brand out there, right? Google Ads, for those of you familiar with Google Ads, it's the 4 lines of text that you see on top of the search results. Google actually just announced 2 weeks ago that they're going to start providing users with an option to hide the paid ads results, right? So that means brand is more important than ever. So any channel where you can distribute your video content, your photo content, as opposed to just like a line of text like Dave's Roofing LLC, is going to be way better for you than just being like a line of text among other lines of text, right? You want to be one of one.
Yeah, I think going back to what you said it comes down to really who's your ideal customer, knowing who you're trying to attract. And something that I see a lot of that drives me nuts is they're offering too many services. Okay, you got guys doing siding, gutters, windows, doing decks, all of these things where how do you market to that? You need to become the pro, the one guy that you're going to call for this. Especially, I always say the riches are in the niches. If you're offering too many services, you're not going to get the right message through. And that really comes down to even residential and commercial, because this is what we did. We'd do anything. And once we realized that we just weren't making any money in the residential business, we dropped that. And then we were able to focus 100% on the re-roofing, the commercial work and the service work. And we were able to really refine our message. And that just changed everything.
Yeah, that's great. I love to hear that. It goes back to trust, right? I don't want to feel like I'm making a risky decision by hiring this company or even by calling them to come out, right? I want to know that they are the experts. They have experience, expertise to do what I want done. And I want to read Google reviews from homeowners that are just like me, or commercial property owners that are just like me, or I want to see their projects. I want to see who they are. I want to see people, their actual people that work there. All those things help to build trust and minimize the risk. I don't need to hire the best roofer. I live in New Jersey, right? I don't need to hire the best roofer in New Jersey. I don't even know who that is. I know everyone calls himself the best and the number one, all that. But like, how do you even know who the best is? But my wife, Alyssa, and we want to hire a company that we feel comfortable with. And my wife's not going to yell at me for hiring because they didn't show up, right? A company that's going to make my life not easier, but they're not going to make my life harder. Niching down and be like, hey, this is what we specialize in. And that enables you to charge a premium, because if I have God forbid, I have an issue with my heart, right? I'm not going to go to a general practitioner. I'm going to go to a heart surgeon. So you want to be the heart surgeon for your market, and people are going to go to you and they're going to pay a premium because you're the expert at that thing. Now, if you get a referral for a deck, you want to do a deck, you need some money, we do it once in a while. Hey, I get a referral today from one of our roofing company clients. He referred me to his buddy who owns an 8-figure commercial hardwood floor company. I'll have a conversation with him, try to help him out because he's a referral, not going to be a fit. But if we were in a position where, yeah, we really need the business, okay, that's fine. But I'm not going to advertise that. You can always do things that you don't specialize in, but I wouldn't advertise for it. Like you said, you want to be known for something.
Yeah. And I think you can see that when you go to somebody's website and you look at the homepage. And if I say, I don't really understand what the hell these guys are doing. They're doing everything. Jack of all trades, master of none. They're doing all these different things. You want your ideal customer to come to that site and be able to, in the second, go, this is exactly what I'm looking for. That's where I think the marketing message has to be absolutely clear on who it is you're marketing to and what it is that you're saying to them. And again, the trust builder. These are the experts. That's exactly what I need. And it's just, you got to start there and understand that before you can speak to that ideal customer or even know what you're doing, as opposed to spray and pray.
The messaging is really everything and what's going on in their head. One of the OG marketers, it might have been Dan Kennedy, said that you got to tap into the conversation that's going on in their head. This has been on my to-do list forever. I need to get my roof done, but I'm just so busy. I don't want to deal with all these contractors. I've had bad experiences. I don't want to deal with the hassle and all that. We'll just put it off. Like, I'm just too busy. So if you can tap into that, overcome their objections in their head, I love that part of marketing, the messaging, to tap into that in an ethical way. It's really fun. Yeah. Because then you get those people who are like, oh yeah, like you said, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Well, let's talk about your deal that you have that I've known for so long. You talk about this all the time, is the idea of being 5 mile famous. What does that mean? And let's talk a little about that, because I think that's so important, and the whole concept, because I'm getting arguments with my people about, you've got to start there rather than, everybody always wants to open branches and start going all over the place with all these different things. And they think everybody knows them in their market. So what's the 5 mile famous thing?
Yeah. So it goes back to, I think it derives from the real estate industry. There's an old school marketer that used to drop that phrase once in a while. I think you had 15 mile famous, but we started latching on the 5 mile famous because it just rolls off the tongue, right? But it goes back to that idea of farming and not hunting. So think of a real estate agent. I love analogies, and I think this might make sense to a lot of people. A real estate agent, today's Monday, right? Doesn't wake up on a Monday like, all right, I got to go find someone that's going to buy a house or sell a house today. Sure, you can go knock doors. And I know there's a lot of roofing companies out there that knock doors, and a lot of our clients do, and that's great. But that's really challenging. That real estate agent is probably not going to be that successful, right? So what do? They go out there in networking meetings. They're doing open houses. They're meeting people. They're meeting with builders and things like that. And that's what we got to do. We've got to get everyone in our 5 mile radius. Now, your mileage may vary, of course, right? Commercial roofing clients that we have, they have a 50 mile radius, or it might be 20 or whatever that might be. But focus on getting all of those people in your market to know who you are and what you do and associate with you in a positive way, of course. And so the idea is that even if only 3% of people in that 5 mile radius are going to need your services now or this year, there's another 97% of people that might be in a position to recommend you or refer you or tag you in a local next door group or Facebook group or something like that, to be that top of mind company that people think of first when they need your services. So they might not need your services this year, but how about 2 years down the road when they buy a new house or when they're trying to sell their house and they want to get a new roof so they can list their house for sale? You want them to call you. And I know that's breaking the mold of like instant gratification, but we've got to be thinking out that far. The other part of that, Dave, is operationally, when you're trying to drive all over the place and get jobs, do you really want to send out your sales rep an hour and a half away? And then you got to send your project manager and then your crews. And then what happens when you need some extra material? That becomes an operational mess that is silently eating into your profit because you're just driving all over the place, right? What if you could just dominate that 10, 15 mile radius or 5 mile radius? How much operationally more efficient is that going to make your business? How much happier is that going to keep your people? They're not spending half their day in a vehicle. So that's what 5 mile famous is all about. Waking up every day and thinking about not like, how can I generate a lead today, but how do I get more people in this 5 mile radius to know about us today than knew about us yesterday? You can focus on that every day. That's going to compound into a really great recognizable brand.
It's the same thing about the neighborhood marketing on a smaller basis because you're doing a job in the neighborhood. Last summer in my neighborhood, I think there were 3 or 4 roofs that were done. These pretty large places. And I drive by and I go, okay, who's doing this roof? There's no signs. There's no anything. I didn't know anything about these guys. Unless I had driven by, I wouldn't even know there was a roof going on. And then there's another job going on. It's a different roofer. And another one. 3 different roofers are in this neighborhood rather than getting out there, door hangers, just mailers, letting people know, hey, we are in this neighborhood. We're going to dominate this, and everybody here is going to know that we're here, know we do good work, come by and see our jobs. You see our job signs everywhere. And the idea is that you're going to get one additional job in that neighborhood for everyone that you do. And that's, I think, the same thing that you're saying is that we start off in this one neighborhood, we dominate it, everybody knows who we are, and then we go to the next one and the next one, and we start knocking off this whole 5-mile area.
If you get one job, and those are the things that, again, they take a little bit of time. They don't really take a ton of money, like you said, but those are the things that really work. And I think most roofing company owners are still looking for that one channel. What's that one thing? Is it TikTok? Is it AI? Is it ChatGPT? Like where I'm going to get all my leads? It's not one thing. Maybe it was. Maybe, like you said, we got drunk for a little while and we had that fountain of leads flowing through. It's not how business has ever existed. Yeah, the yard signs, the truck wraps, the door hangers, the direct mail. You can even run like Facebook ads, Instagram ads in a 1-mile radius around that neighborhood if you want. Geofence that neighborhood. And hey, you might not generate a lead from every job, but you're impressing your brand upon everyone in that radius, right?
Real quick on the meta ads, because this is something that I see where everybody's, yeah, I'm doing Facebook ads. They have no idea what they're doing. There's no true call to action. They're not going to a landing page or just taking them to the homepage of their website. What are the mistakes that you see that these guys are pretty much all doing? And what should they be doing on that? And how do you make those things work?
Man, all right, let me break some brains right now. Please stop thinking, not you, Dave, but like the audience, please stop thinking about meta ads as this lead generation machine. Again, they used to be, right? Going back to probably 2016, 17. I've been in this game for 12 years, not quite as long as Dave, but I'm getting there.
That's for sure.
But yeah, going back to that, yes, we used to run Facebook ads for even a roofing company in Dallas or Denver, these big markets, and it would work great. Okay, you want more leads? Spend more money. Great, fill your pipeline. It's not like that anymore. I know there's marketers out there that are calling you, that are blowing you up in the DMs every day, promising you that, but that does not exist. Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. They are largely for brand awareness. This is the modern day television, radio. The average American adult spending 4 hours a day on their smartphone, 2 hours of that on social media. That's according to Inc. magazine. This is where your market's attention is. For those of you out there that know Gary, I channel a lot of Gary Vee. I'm a big fan. It's brand awareness. Can you generate leads from Meta? Absolutely. Our clients do every day. However, they have a strong foundation of brand awareness content. They're running videos that their market is seeing every day. And then they hit them with the lead gen ads. Again, trying to find those 3% of people in the market that might be ready today. Yes, you want to make sure you're hitting those people with the lead gen ads and generate leads from people that have already seen your brand, but it's largely a brand awareness play. And it's something that's going to help all of your marketing perform better because people ideally know and trust you. So we run 3 levels of meta ads, getting a little bit deeper into the marketing 201 part of it. Brand awareness, that's making people aware of your brand, pretty straightforward. Then there's lead generation, which is generate leads, again, pretty straightforward. And then there's retargeting. So retargeting is anyone that's visited your website, anyone that's watched your videos, anyone that's engaged with your Facebook and Instagram, we can serve those people ads basically forever, right? And it's very cheap to do that retargeting. Our clients are spending $5 a day on that. And the idea is simple, right? If you're in a market for a roof, whether you're commercial or residential, you're likely not making a decision on the spot. It's a multi-week or maybe multi-month, or in terms of commercial, multi-year decision-making process, right? So the ability to retarget people, to stay in front of people until they're ready to make that decision to stay top of mind is very crucial. And it's also very simple and cost effective to do. So that's kind of demystifying meta ads a little bit. The algorithms have gotten so good. You don't really need to worry about targeting too much because the algorithms are so smart. The targeting that you really want to focus on is what you're saying in your video or you're saying in your ad copy, your headlines. That's the stuff you need to, again, get clear on to whom you're marketing so that you can make sure you're creating those messages that are going to get those people's attention. Meta ads, largely a brand awareness play. Can you generate leads from them? Absolutely, yes. But that is not the primary focus of them.
Got it. All right. And wrapping up here, what is working? Because that's what everybody's going to ask. Well, okay, what do I do? LSA? Is it Thumbtack? Is it Angie's List? How do I get going if I'm going to do this myself? If I'm going to try to wing it? There's no silver bullet, obviously, but is there anything that's working?
Maybe a bonus on this one, something that we've started to implement this year. If you need leads like right now or this month, the best thing you can do is pick up the phone and call your past customers, even your past prospects, work your database, especially if you do offer additional services. Hey, there's 100 people that maybe you roof their house. Oh, did you know, Dave, by the way, we also do siding. We also do gutters. We also do windows. Did you know we also offer financing now? So you don't have to pay for it all up front. It comes from a book called Outgrow by Alex Goldfein, but it's simply just calling your customers and saying, hey, did you know? Or what else do you need quoted? So that we've done that this year and it's generated a lot of business for us pretty quickly, right? And then in terms of marketing, yeah, what's working? The things that we've been talking about, like Dave's talking about the neighborhood marketing, I'm talking about 5 Mile Famous. There really isn't one thing. It's getting out there consistently online. Meta ads, huge. Faces on video is huge on the meta ads. The offline stuff, I think it's all coming back. The yard signs, the door hangers, the direct mail, the knocking the 6-pack or the clover leaf around your jobs, asking for referrals, all getting involved in the community. It's probably not the answer that people want to hear, but I believe and what we've seen, it's what works. A guy that has recently been on our podcast, I've been on his podcast, is Andy Keys. He's the owner of Foxhaven Roofing in Southeast Florida. They're 6 years in. They've been able to build one of the more prominent companies in that Southeast Florida, Treasure Coast, Florida area. They're an example of a company that is doing a lot of this stuff. So if you go check out Foxhaven Roofing, you'll see their website, you'll see their social media. Spend a little time. You'll see all the things they're doing, and they're doing all of these things. They spend money on Google and things like that, but they're doing all the little things that you think that you don't need to do. They're doing those. So yeah, it's understanding, and we can get into that, the 5 and 5 thing. I can break that down in a simple framework, but it's really committing to marketing and really being a marketing organization and not just viewing marketing as this line item in your P&L or this afterthought or the thing that you do at 11 o'clock at night after you're done sending out your invoices, right? It's something that is baked into your company that you're doing every day.
You've got to learn this. You've got to be a good marketer. You've got to educate yourself, which brings us right into your program. Why don't you tell us about what you've got going, what the programs are, because I think they're great. I think that's what you need to do is learn it yourself. Whether or not you're going to hire an agency, you've got to still understand the way it works so you're not going to get ripped off. So tell us about what you got going.
Yeah, so primarily, like I said, we are a marketing training company. So we train roofing companies on how to do their own marketing. For us, we like to say size doesn't matter. We have clients that are trying to hit their first $1 million in revenue this year. We've got our largest clients probably going to do 90 million this year and everywhere in between. So it's really about that marketing mindset. We'll meet you where you're at. If you're at $500,000, you want to get to $1 million, or if you're at 30 and you want to get to 50, it's not going to happen overnight, of course, but we'll meet you where you're at with our marketing training program. You'll be assigned to one of our marketing coaches to be that one-on-one coach for you to help you build your plan and execute your plan. That might be you if you're an owner operator and you want to carve out a few hours a week to do it yourself. It might be someone inside your company. It might be a spouse. It might be one of your kids. One of our clients just hired his niece to do his marketing. She's right out of college. So just anyone in your organization on your payroll that can dedicate 10 hours a week at least to doing marketing. Why try to figure it out on your own? We've already got the blueprint. We've worked with over 500 roofing companies over the last 12 years, and we're constantly coming out with new stuff, AI and things like that. We're constantly creating new training to make sure that we're being relevant and you're being relevant. And then on top of the marketing training, we do build websites for roofing companies. We do run some meta ads for roofing companies as long as they are doing video content and they understand the long-term implications of that and that the long game of the brand building thing. So we do run meta ads for a couple dozen roofing companies right now. Yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
That's great to know because I think that's recent that you started doing the done for you. I'm sure you get a lot of requests to do that. And that's great to hear that you're doing that. I've sent a few people over and they're thrilled. The program works. And I think it's a great gig you guys got. And I know that you've been doing it for a long time, know what you guys are doing. Tell us how to get hold of you. What should they do?
Sure. Just Google Contractor Dynamics or go to our website, contractordynamics.com. You can search us on YouTube, Contractor Dynamics. We've also got our own podcast, the Nailed It show, Nailed It. We put out a lot of educational content. So yeah, check that out first. And if that resonates with you, go to our website and book a call and we'd love to chat.
Awesome, man. Hey, it's great to see you again, Joe. Let's catch up a little sooner than we did the last time.
Sounds good, Dave. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast. Great questions and hope I was able to provide some value.
You got it. All right. See you soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.